Well, everyone, in this day and age, there are two main different sizes that you can buy from an iPad. So you're basically getting that 11-inch size that we've kind of had before and a 13-inch size that we're getting nowadays. So what are the main differences? And should you go ahead and buy an 11-inch iPad or a 13-inch iPad? Now, as of this point for me making this video, there's two different generations of iPads that Apple is currently doing this with, and that is the iPad Pro models and the iPad Air models. I think going forward, there's always going to be an 11-inch or 13-inch model or a smaller and bigger size of the same exact iPad that Apple is selling. The first thing I want to get out of the way is that there are price gaps between the cheaper iPad and the more expensive iPad. So if you're getting an 11-inch iPad, it is going to be a substantially cheaper iPad than something like the 13-inch iPad. So if we take a look at the iPad Air and the iPad Air, the M2 model, you can get an 11-inch iPad Air for $599, but you can get the 13-inch model for $799. So this right there could be a pretty big difference for some people. The more expensive model, like if you take a look at something like the iPad Pros, this is about a $300 difference. So with the iPad Pro, the 11-inch M4 model, you can get that for $999. For the iPad Pro 13-inch model, you can get that for $1299. So just that right there is another pretty big difference. So you can save yourself hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you actually go ahead and buy the cheaper model than the more expensive one. But keep in mind, with the more expensive one, you are able to get a little bit more of a feature set, which comes down to two different things: the battery size, as well as the display and the technology behind that display. So nowadays, there's not too many differences for the most part between the display and everything like that, but there are still some really cool things that you can get by getting the more expensive 13-inch model. The first thing to keep in mind is that if you are getting that bigger model, it is a nicer experience if you're wanting to go ahead and play games or watch movies or anything like that. Having the type of capability of just having a bigger display is kind of nicer because you are able to go through and essentially get a little bit of a better experience of being able to, have a more of a, entertaining device with a bigger display. Media consumption on bigger, tablets, bigger phones, bigger everything tends to be better, but there can be a drawback of this, and that is portability. The difference between a portability of the 13-inch and 11-inch iPad, there can be some pretty big differences. And I would say 13-inch devices, for the most part, or 13-inch iPads, the accessories, used prices, everything like that typically can be a little bit more expensive or harder to find because the 11-inch models almost always are the ones that are more in stock, and those are the more popular ones. So if you're wanting, let's say a Magic Keyboard in the used market, an 11-inch Magic Keyboard may be cheaper than a 13-inch Magic Keyboard for the same iPad. So just keep that in mind. I've always found it to be the cheaper ones or the more popular ones, and used accessories for those can be a little bit easier to find as well in the used market. As of right now though, the battery life between a 13-inch iPad Pro and the 11-inch iPad Pro is roughly about the same. Apple is telling us it's about 10 hours of internet on the top one and 9 hours of surfing the web. So they're almost neck and neck. They're basically almost the same exact thing when it comes down to the battery life between those. And even when it comes down to the iPad Airs Apple is currently selling, you're basically getting the same 10 hours of surfing the web and 9 hours of surfing the internet on Wi-Fi or cell data, whatever. So you're basically getting the same exact type of experience when it kind of comes down to there too. But it really just comes down to which device and the size do you like the most. The colors that you can purchase them are the same. The configurations you can buy are basically the same thing. There used to be differences with the display texture, but as of right now, I will tell you, if you're getting an 11-inch iPad or a 13-inch iPad, it really just comes down to whether you want the bigger one or the smaller one, depending on the size of that iPad. And I will tell you, from my personal opinion, I don't really think, for my personal use case, I don't think it's worth going up to a 13-inch iPad coming from the 11-inch one. I think if you have an 11-inch iPad, I think that's more than enough for a lot of people. And I do think that is a very, very good price point for basically everything going on for that particular iPad. So I look at that particular one and I would probably say that's the better one I'd recommend people to buy just because it's more popular and it's easier to use. But I still think with something like the current generation iPad Pro, whether you're getting the 13-inch one or the whichever one you're getting, I don't really think these are bad options. And I do think they're very, very good iPads if you're in the market and you wanted to go ahead and buy them. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.